Welcome back to Blue and Blur, everybody. My name is Mark.
And I'm RJ. We get back, we're going to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs and what happened this week.
Yeah, lots of news this week. The main one, the big one, they're officially eliminated. No surprise. I think everybody was waiting on that one.
Yep, eliminated. Montreal's clinched, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are out, and two franchises couldn't be more polar opposite in direction right now. So it's interesting. It's a sad day. They had a 9-year run in the playoffs, and it's over. And
Two series wins.
And 2 series wins, 2 times to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And that's it, folks. That's all she wrote. We'll see what happens next.
That's all that is for this era.
They think that a lot of talk. They're going to try to do a bounce back next year, and there are some if you get some free agents and whatnot. Who knows? But I'm doubtful of that. But anyway, this week they lost to San Jose. We love that because we want to get them lower in the standings. Although it's becoming less and less likely they are going to get in the final 5. Bottom 5, and they went into L.A. and they managed to get a point out of a wild game. They were outshot 2-1, had 3 2-goal leads, I think, at one point.
Yeah, blew 3 leads in that game.
Not if they're all 2-goal leads, but they blew 3 leads. Sorry, They blew 3 leads.
The first one was a 2-goal lead.
The first one was a 2-goal lead. Yeah. Lost 7-6 in overtime. I actually watched the entire game, and the interesting thing was I was sitting beside a diehard Leaf fan. And it's just fun to listen to them. He still thinks, not that he thought they were going to get in the playoffs this year, but he thinks it's a hop, skip, and a jump to they'll be right back at it next year.
Yeah.
And so I just think there's just been some health problems. I thought I was sitting beside Keith Pelly, quite frankly. So
Just to finish up on that game first, like the people I saw was, and then we won't talk about the game anymore because it's gone and past. Yeah. But what I noticed is that the people that we were expecting goals from all year, Cowan, Nyes, Tavares, Robertson, and Lawrence, they actually scored.
I don't think we expect goals from Lawrence, but he did score. We expected him to do something more than he usually does, and he did.
Yeah, so
nice shorty.
The 4 of them, or the 5 of them, got goals. I mean, and this is something we've been waiting. I mean, a good breath of fresh air, a step in the right direction for these guys. Maybe they'll end the season on a bit of a high note, so that maybe they come back a little bit more.
Leafy. I think they should keep. I know that Keith Pelly said we don't tank, and there's no, we don't. No, we don't want you to lose on purpose. But there's just ways of losing. Just put more Marlies in the lineup and not try to lose, not actively try to lose, but not have Benoit take all the face-offs or don't make it obvious. But there are ways that it'd be better if they were lower in the standings. It would certainly help Boston out maybe if they finish 6th overall.
Yeah, there was one thing I want to talk to you real quick, and I forgot to mention it before when we talked.
Yeah,
I did see a few people online and in the talk shows and stuff like that talking about how the past 10 years of this rebuild
of this era.
The era, but the rebuild that started 10 years ago.
It's not a rebuild. They were a good team. They had 108 points last year.
Right. But it was, what I mean, it was
the reincarnation.
The rebuild that they started 10 years ago, that was 5 years ago supposed to be at their peak. A lot of them are saying like this was a wasted era of perfectly good talent because everybody's saying that the talent was there.
Well, no, we know that it's absolutely. You had generational, not generational talents perhaps, but you had Matthews top goals, maybe the best goal scorer in the game. Marner one of the best playmakers. Tavares a great solid center, and Nylander's like the second coming of Guy Lafleur when he wants to skate around.
When
guys.
He wants to, yeah.
Unfortunately, he'll never skate through a guy though, so that's part of the problem. Anyway, they blew it.
So now the question is it a retool or is it like do you bring it down to the studs again?
Well, we're going to be talking about that for the next. When we can save that. I mean, when Montreal's in the playoffs, we're talking about that. The only thing I'm going to get to talk about is there's a couple of months of debating about what they should do.
Yeah.
I think one thing it's going to be the general manager. Like if they get him, and so here's the thing: Keith Pelly's going to hire a guy, and what he's going to do, he's going to bring all these guys in. He's going to ask them, "What are you going to do?" And I'll tell you right now what he's going to do. Let's say he brings in he has 10 interviews, and 5 interviews say, "Well, we're going to take it down to the studs. We got to rebuild. We can't work with these guys." And the other 5 guys say, well, we make an adjustment here, we do that, we make sure Matthews signs again, and Keith Pelly, we can tell from his press conference, he leans to those 5 guys. So it's going to be one of those 5 guys. The guys who come, and quite frankly, my advice to any of you guys out there that are applying for that job, don't talk about taking it down to the studs because Pelly won't hire you. I can tell from his press conference. He thinks it's a
retool.
Yeah, it's a tighten a few screws and throw in this and throw in more motor oil, and we can get driving on the highway again to the playoffs.
Are you surprised they haven't hired yet?
Well, no. No.
Well, often if you're going to fire somebody, you got somebody else in mind.
Yeah, but they didn't fire. Well, we went over that last video because they didn't expect to fire Tree Living. There was a leak. Tree Living found out that Pelly was sniffing around and was planning to ditch him at the end of the year. And Tree Living obviously went to him and said, "Are you firing me?" And Pelly had to tell him the truth. Yeah. So Tree Living said, "Well, I'm packing up my shit right now." That's what happened. We know that. I mean, you can tell. You don't fire a guy 2 hours before the start of a Western road trip. You just don't. No, that doesn't happen.
Right.
So obviously Pelly got caught unawares. And quite frankly, I said it on the last video. This is the most important decision this guy will ever make as an employee of MLSE.
Yeah.
Like if he blows this, he's out the door.
Yeah, because you said you're allowed one firing. Yeah.
Well, but for sure, unbelievable. If he was Shanahan brought Tree Living in, so that's on Shanahan. Pelly gets away with that one. He brings in a guy who can't get it done in any way. Pelly's going to be out the door.
Yeah. Speaking of firings now, another big firing in the league this week.
Well, yeah, the Islanders. I mean, we'll look at the standings right now in the East. It's still pretty tight. Montreal's clinched, and Boston. Where are they? Boston's looking pretty good. So Boston's pretty much got that first wild card spot.
Yeah, I think so.
So the fight between Ottawa, New York, Islanders, Detroit, and Columbus. But here's the interesting thing: Pittsburgh's pretty much locked up second place in the Metropolitan. Yeah. But Philadelphia, out of nowhere, I'd crossed them off about a month ago. I definitely crossed them off. And even last week, I said, I don't know if I'm going to add them yet. Yeah. But they just keep on winning. Yeah. And Philadelphia is now perched in third place. Yeah. And so they're locked into well, they're not locked in, but they're in the playoffs. So it's a race between Philadelphia at 90.
Well, they're in at 90, but they're not comfortably at 90. And like they're in the third, but they're not comfortably in third. Islanders
and Columbus are at 89 and 88, and they could take over Philadelphia. So that's one race, but then the race for that last wild card spot between Philadelphia, Ottawa, Islanders, Detroit, and Columbus. So and right now Philadelphia's in the driver's seats, very surprisingly. Yeah. So the Islanders, who have been in the playoffs pretty much the whole year, as a matter of fact, they've probably been in second place more games than Pittsburgh, all of a sudden fall out and are looking in, and general manager Marche, I think his name is. Anyway, he fires Patrick Waugh very suddenly. I think the whole league was caught surprised. Yeah. I can't imagine the amount of texting that went on
close to
amongst players and executives around the league. So, and they hired Pete DeBoer, who was out there, and everyone agrees he was the jewel. And you just have to wonder: did the Islanders think that maybe we're going to make a change at the end of the year? And Pete DeBoer would be our number one target. Maybe they think the Leafs might be, because the Leafs are in total destruction mode. They might dump Belfour and bring DeBoer in now. I don't know. I don't always bring it back to, it's so Toronto-centric of us in the league. So, Toronto, everything revolves around what happens in Toronto. I don't mean to say that. I think, though, so leaving Toronto out of it, let me back off. I do think for some reason the Islanders, it's not only that they think that they have to jumpstart the team to get back in. I think maybe they thought, boy, DeBoer's probably the best coach, one of the 4 or 5 best coaches in North America. And Patrick Waugh, we were okay with him, but he's not as good as DeBoer. Let's grab him now before someone else does. So I think there was a little bit of that, and maybe it was some other team that was all of a sudden sniffing around about what to do with DeBoer next year. Because I'm surprised actually he lasted this far. I'm surprised the team didn't snap him up, and I think he probably got a lot of phone calls, and he kept on turning down situations. And who knows, DeBoer, he might have turned down a Leaf offer. Yeah, I'm surprised the Leafs have kept Belfour. He's a walking dead. He is definitely getting fired at the end of the year. Pelly says going to let the new general manager do it. Right. Pelly's put no speed dial on this thing. He says it'll get done, but it might take till the end of May. He wants to get it done before the June draft combine, which makes sense. So I don't know if it's going to be that fast. Names we're hearing, I don't think it's going to be Mike Gillis. He's really sniffing hard. Yeah. Dean Lombardi is still tied up in Philadelphia. Bob Pulford's son-in-law, as a matter of fact, the old great Leaf that died this year. Dean Lombardi's in the running. I don't think he'll get the job either.
Pronger? You think Pronger's in the
I don't
conversation?
think. Well, Chris, no. There you go. Chris Pronger said very many times on the radio he would take it down to the studs. I don't even think he gets an interview because of that. Yeah. You know what? Here's a surprise name.
But I mean, even if he wanted to, he couldn't take it down to the studs.
Well, no, it's I don't think this girl. I don't think this person would get the. And I say person. I don't think this person would get the job as the de facto chief. But I could see this person perhaps being elevated to general manager. Surprise name, Haley Wickenheiser, Dr. Haley Wickenheiser, assistant GM.
That would be a good choice.
And I could see that maybe and Rogers, with the whole, they like to do, have the, empowerment.
I think I could get behind her. Yeah.
So they can make her the general manager, but bring in a like a real top name.
Yeah.
That'd
be a good choice.
It would be an interesting choice. I don't know.
She definitely has the hockey knowledge.
Yeah, it'd be historic. I don't think a woman's ever been officially the GM. There's been a couple of women at the executive level. But no. So anyway, that's a name I'm just throwing out. Yeah. I've heard. I don't know. There's the Whiz kids. There's the Carolina kid, Sonny Mehta in Florida, the assistant GM, another Whiz kid. I've heard weirdly that for some reason they think the Leafs are going to take a run at Tulsky, the actual general manager of Carolina. I don't really know why he would.
Why would he? Yeah.
And I made my point.
Other than the money,
these Whiz kid general managers. I think it's a minefield to go in there. You guys have got a really great resume now, and you could really John F. Ferguson Jr. yourself.
Yeah.
I think, but so I don't know who's going to get that job. I really don't.
Right.
Anyway, so other than that, Patrick Waugh gone, and the Leafs next week are going to play.
Yep.
Leafs play Washington at home on Wednesday. Then they go to Long Island. And then they have Florida back here on next Saturday. So 3 more games. They've only got 5 games to go. And
that would be a good time to go see a game. Tickets are probably real cheap.
Well, the scalpers outside are
starving.
They're starving. So who knows? It's going to be very interesting, and we'll talk more about this general manager job in coming videos for sure. It's an ongoing subject.
Absolutely. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell us what you think in the comments down below. We love listening to your comments, positive or negative ones. Sometimes we get negative ones. But we'll see you in the next video where we're going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens.